B-29s also stand waiting. The Americans now know that their plan of daylight, high-altitude bombardment cannot succeed. A radical military change is ordered. All armament, all weight-consuming defensive measures are to be taken out of the planes. All these things which make the B-29 a high-altitude bomber are to be removed. B-29s are ordered to attack not by daylight, but by night. Not with high explosives, but with incendiary bombs. Not at 30,000 feet, but at 7,000 feet. The B-29s were not built to meet any of these specifications. Nevertheless, they will go out. Japanese night defenses are weak. They rely on sound detectors and searchlights rather than radar. There are almost no night-flying interceptors, and their anti-aircraft artillery is inaccurate. Japanese cities are built of wood. They are fire traps. March 9, 1945. The worst fire in the history of the world consumes Tokyo. In one night, 1 million people are burned out of their homes. In one night, more people are killed than the atomic bomb will kill at Hiroshima. Night after night, the B-29s burn out Japan, Tokyo, Kobe, Osaka, Nagoya. The Japanese cities, one by one, go up in smoke. The whole nation is on the edge of panic. There is no defense against the fire raids. Secretly, without informing the military, certain influential Japanese begin to discuss amongst themselves the means to arrange an armistice. The Minister of Home Affairs says there is no defense against these raids. To the Japanese, it is the end of the world. Ending, then suicide. If the Japanese military cannot admit the possibility of surrender, and if the accepted means of defense are inadequate, then suicide. Each pilot is given his ceremonial scarf. On this headband are written the symbols of Bushido. The suicide pilots are called kamikaze. The divine wind that blows the fleet of the enemy away from the shores of Japan. Kamikaze fly to death in a Western-style aircraft, 5 years behind the times. The kamikaze fly to death in a massed attack against the American fleet now less than 400 miles from the home island. The United States Navy is off Okinawa, supporting the invasion of the island. These ships are within range of the kamikaze. Radar has picked up large formations of Japanese planes. The fleet reinforces its combat air patrols. The Japanese divide their forces. Their best pilots are to engage the American combat patrols. Once the American planes are engaged, the suicide pilots will crash into the American fleet. The best Japanese pilots are no longer a match for the Americans. It is evident that the American planes cannot knock down all the Japanese fighters. The kamikaze concentrate on the American aircraft carriers. The American aircraft carrier, backbone of the fleet, is the prime target. If the aircraft carriers are knocked out, the American fighters will have no place to land. If enough aircraft carriers are knocked out, the invasion of Okinawa will fail. Battle of Okinawa continues. For 82 days, the American fleet fights to hold its position. 1,900 Japanese pilots choose deliberately to die, and in their death frenzy, they wound the American fleet. 10,000 American sailors are wounded or killed by the suicide attacks. Okinawa cost the American Navy more lives than any battle of the war. "164 ships sunk or damaged. 8 aircraft carriers are struck. And the Japanese have 5,000 kamikaze pilots in reserve.